Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Can you hear me? Can you see me, please?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. My name is Tomáš Sahlig, and I will be your guide through these open doors concerning our program. So I will start with two presentations. I will present to you the 8 PhD programs that we have here, both in Czech and in English, and then I have asked some of our current PhD students to say to you something about their research experiences, eventually their experiences with international mobility and so on. And then at the end of our meeting, Mrs. Šmejkalova from our study department gives you more information about the admission procedure. And of course, you can ask whenever you want. So take it more as an informal session. All the formal information you can find on our web pages. So it's not a problem. This is really just to have it pleasant today and to share some experiences. This meeting is being recorded. We usually put the recording to our web pages for other people that could be interested and that don't have the possibility to be here with us. So concerning our programs, so we have these 8 programs. Maybe a couple of words about our faculty. So we are the Faculty of Social Sciences, and you can see that we cover, in fact, the whole spectrum of social sciences. We have economics and finance, media and communication studies, area studies, modern history, political science, international relations, sociology, public and social policy, both in Czech and in English. And we have some 450 students, and you can see the number of students in each of the programs on the right. And the faculty is organized into institutes, and each institute has its center for doctoral studies that usually makes some organizational and communication linking with PhD students, and it serves for supporting the best PhD students financially as well. So, Institute of Economic Studies, program Economics and Finance, 113 students. Media and Communication Studies at the Institute of International Studies, and you can see the number of students. And at the Institute of International Studies, we have 2 programs, Area Studies and Modern History. And at the Institute of Political Studies, we have Political Science and International Relations. And at the Institute of Sociological Studies, we have Sociology and Public and Social Policy. And that's all for the moment. And now I would like to ask some of my PhD colleagues to start with presenting these experiences. So Sylvia, are you here?
Yeah, yes, I'm here.
Okay, so Sylvia, so here I have the pleasure to introduce to you Sylvia from our program Mass Media and Communication. So go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I prepared a very short presentation just to follow my follow me while I talk. I believe you can see it now.
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, so yes, I'm Sylvia from the Institute of Communication Studies and Journalism. PhD program is Media and Communication Studies, and I'm in my 4th year of studies. Should be my last year. My particular field of interest is political communication, or even more narrow, popular politics. So I stand somewhere in between political science and media studies. And what I'm researching, my thesis, is about something we call celebrity populism, it's still a novel concept that is trying to describe a particular type of politicians and their communication who are blending populist cues and celebrity or popular formats of speaking. Before, in the literature, these two, celebrity politics and populist politics, were separated, and now we think, me and several colleagues, that this should be recognized as a particular phenomenon describing, for example, Trump, Zelensky, or I'm studying case studies from Croatia because I'm in English program, I'm Croatian originally, so I took some Croatian politicians as my case studies. This guy, for example, very particular type, even fictional candidate who ran in elections. This guy here is the real person who created his alter ego and used this alter ego to parody whole political reality, communicated with satire and self-scandalization during campaign. And this is what I'm studying. I'm studying what is so particular about these types of politicians' communication that is so appealing to the voters in the contemporary age. We have at our program, maybe it's in all programs, I'm not sure, the possibility to write our dissertation in form, obviously as a monograph, one big book, let's say, or in the form of articles. That's what I'm doing. So at the end of my studies, I'm supposed to have 4 articles together with some umbrella chapter that is describing my topic in general. So by now I published 2 articles on the topic, and third is in review. And on the topic, I also published with my colleagues from Croatia a book chapter, again on the topic of celebrity populism, with fictional populism and effects on a liberal democracy. I also presented my research in several conferences. It's maybe one of my favorite parts of the study, not only to travel, but to talk to colleagues, to present my research, and to get some feedback, to get to know people that I previously only, whose work I previously only read. And one of the maybe my favorite stays was my research stay in Amsterdam last October, where I spent 1 whole month. I was funded by Charles University because I have a grant called GAUK from the Great Agency of Charles University. So I was able to fund it, and I went there because basically I talked to one professor from Amsterdam while she was here in Prague. I asked her if there is a possibility to come to Amsterdam as a visiting researcher. She said there is a possibility. I formally applied through their system. It was relatively easy. I organized my stay, and while I was there in Amsterdam, I was finishing my 3rd article. I met a lot of great colleagues there at the Amsterdam School of Communication Research and Department of Political Communication, who helped me a lot to, first of all, finish my article, but also to brainstorm with me in general about my ideas and my PhD. I have to say I had a great time there, and I'm happy. It was a good push for my 4th year. Most of my travels, for example, many conferences, for example, in Germany, I even went to Buenos Aires, in Argentina, in Denmark. I managed to pay through the different funds from the university or faculty or institute. And my point here was maybe that you can be funded for this, but it's important to organize oneself in time and to get to know the system a little bit with the help of CDS. Very often what was mentioned, Center of Doctoral Studies, and things can go pretty smoothly. So yeah, I think this is shortly what I wanted to say, but afterwards, of course, I'm happy to answer any question, or here you can see my email, and you can write me on silvia.vukovic.cuni.cz if you have any questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Silvia. If you have any question at the moment, then you can ask it now. But you will have the possibility to return to Silvia at the end of all student presentations, so it's not a problem. Okay, so maybe we could continue with Theodore. So Theodore, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. So Theodore is from the program Economics and Finance.
All right. Hello, everyone. Now I will share my screen to continue Sylvia's presentation about my PhD experience. I study at IES, Institute of Economic Studies. I'm in the second year of my studies. I'm part of the CDS at the institute. So should you apply to us, we will definitely meet each other during the application admission process and also further. In my research, my research topic is called concurrent business and distribution strategy planning. My topic stands little on the side of the classic economic or finance topic at my institute. I'm more oriented in the operations research. Namely, I'm interested in how businesses should plan their business side. So, like where they want to expand over time, what might affect them over time. Is there a competitor coming to the market? Is there a crisis, and so on? And with respect to this, how should they plan their distribution? So how should they facilitate their demand using their logistics supply network? A huge part of my research is the uncertainty that's inherently present in every planning. Specifically, I work with the assumption that there are different degrees of uncertainty, and usually it blends in. I believe that things that are closer in the future are usually less uncertain than those that are far in the future. Question is how to best capture it and how to best capture any beliefs that we might have about the future development, and how to with respect to these, how to select the optimal strategy in the long term so that it is the most efficient, most resilient one with respect to all the other options. So far, I'm in the second year. I published one working paper at IES, and I'm currently working on another one. I would really like to follow up on what Sylvia said before. There is many options to present my research at conferences, or pick up wisdom from other colleagues from other universities that stays abroad. Specifically the conferences, I also enjoy so much. I've already presented my research at several international conferences, also at one in Croatia. I strongly encourage everyone who goes for PhD to do so as well, because when you go to conferences, you meet people from your area of research, from all parts of the world. It's a really great opportunity to share ideas and hear their comments from their perspectives. And of course, it's also a great opportunity to go and see places that you might not otherwise. To do this, there are many options how you can fund these travels. So if we're talking about the short-term stays, firstly, there are the GAUKs, basically Charles University grants that some students get for to fund their research, and you can use these to cover the travel expenses to these conferences. Also, for students who do not have these grants, there are funds dedicated at the faculty that they can use to fund it. Also, there are options to go for summer schools, or of course the long-term stays. As I'm a second year student, I have not been yet. I'm planning to in my in next year or another one. There are many options, or there are several options how to facilitate it. Great one is GailSAP, which connects Charles University to really world-class universities such as Berkeley, Hong Kong, and others. and that allows you to go there and covers the stay. As Sylvia said, it's really the options are there. It's of course up to your responsibility to to find it and to kind of make it happen. But there are possibilities to do that for sure. From top of my mind, for example, from our CDS, one colleague right now is in South Africa. Other just came back from Washington and will go to Berkeley next semester. Others, I know they've been to Chile, also California. So really the options are almost limitless, and it is very strongly encouraged that everyone who studies uses these and goes for it and spends part of their research time, their PhD time elsewhere. Also, what I would really like to emphasize is teaching as PhD student. Frankly, I was a little worried about teaching when I started, but because, talking in front of many people was a bit intimidating, but there is a great value added in that, because when you teach, you are forced to, speak in front of people, and that builds up your communication skills. And of course, when you're a researcher, you need to be able to communicate efficiently your results, your research to the other side. And teaching is a great way that's not forced to get used to that if you do not have experience public speaking before. So I would really like to emphasize this this aspect of PhD studies, which is of course a very large one. Every PhD student at our institute is expected to teach and generally participate at the operations of the faculty as such. This was a brief recap of my PhD experience, my research, and I would be happy to answer your questions now, or you definitely feel free to contact me in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Theodore. Any question now, or you will have the possibility later as well. Okay. Just to remind you, when our students speak about CDS, so it's Center of Doctoral Studies at each institute. We have such a center. So now, Zach, are you here? I think I have seen you among the participants.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So Zach is from the Institute of International Territorial Studies, and we have two programs there: Area Studies and Modern History. And to be honest, I don't know which program you are from, Zach.
I'm with the Area Studies program.
Okay, so perfect. So go ahead.
Okay, share my screen. Okay, so hi, my name is Zach Lavengood. I'm a fourth-year PhD student at the Institute of International Studies, Department of North American Studies, focusing, as we said, on area studies, the Area Studies program. What is area studies? Some people are pretty unfamiliar with it. It's a growing field in social sciences. It's a new way to look at problems and questions throughout the realms of social science without a lot of very heavy interdisciplinary boundaries. It really encourages the growth in new perspectives in academia. It combines, as you can see from my graphic, the analytical powers of lots of different disciplines to create a more fuller, brighter picture of what social reality is. And there's no real, let's say, right way to use it. We have lots of different people at our institute and in this study program who are looking at very different problems, some focusing more on, let's say, geopolitics, some focusing more on cultural studies, some who are focusing more on history studies, but all of them fall under this larger umbrella of area studies. As well, it's able to, it helps you as a researcher place new information within older concepts to expand these frameworks and to create all sorts of new exciting research. What can you do with area studies? You can do academic work, which is what my job is. As well, you can also do lots of government work, such as working in the foreign ministry, departments of human services, if you go into the more humanities or social side. Private sector, consultancy services are full of area studies experts doing market risk analysis, research analysis, XYZ, as well as things in the nonprofit sector. You'll find lots of area studies experts at Feed the Children, Medicine Sans Frontières, People in Need, very important Czech NGO. My own personal dissertation, I focus more on the geopolitics side. I'm focusing on analyzing geopolitical flashpoints, primarily looking to fill an academic research gap that places flashpoints within political science and international relations. Surprisingly, it is a topic that is not very well covered in literature. I'm focusing on flashpoints as a phenomena, especially through the regional lens by using Buzan and Waver's regional security complex theory. And I'm doing this through two case studies, looking at the Arctic as a competitive flashpoint and the South China Sea as a conflictual flashpoint, referencing their own likelihood of, let's say, exploding into kinetic conflict. Through this, I'm looking at answering the research questions, what causes flashpoint inception? Where do they come from? Why did they come about? What makes them so volatile? Is there a typology to flashpoints, which is a key part of my research, helping us categorize the different types of flashpoints there are. And this helps us understand flashpoints as a phenomena so that we can, in the future, hopefully de-escalate away from flashpoints and avoid conflict altogether. Other activities that I've done during my research stay, I was, unlike the others, I didn't get a GAUK grant. I got what's called a START grant, which unfortunately I don't think they do anymore. But this was a 3-year project, which I was the principal investigator of. We were looking at foresight methodologies to research what China was going to be like at 2049 on the global stage. My research partners were looking at how China's influence would grow within the European Union as an institution, how China would develop its Belt and Road project and how that would expand influence into places like Central Asia and Southeast Asia. And mine focused on developments in their military technology, specifically focusing on the South China Sea, which again helps with my dissertation research. This particular grant actually sponsored quite a few stays for me. 2 months in the Philippines, where I was hosted by the University of Manila and the University of Diliman, where I focused on Filipino military modernization programs, South China Sea politics, as well as doing some side research on poverty and development, specifically looking at value chains through slums. After that, I did a 1-month research stay in Taiwan, which actually has a very big developing program with Charles University, which is just starting now. So if you're interested in, East Asian politics, specifically through Taiwan and their influence in the world, they're going to be offering many programs for you to take part in. But I also looked at their military developments, Taiwanese security dynamics, and lots of other really, really interesting opportunities to expand my professional network. I've participated in conferences in the Czech Republic, of course, but also the United States, Taiwan, the Philippines, Latvia, most of which I was able to get funding from the university, which always makes things a bit more exciting. I've been teaching actually since my master's program here, and I've been taking on more courseloads since my PhD program, but don't be worried about that. I've enjoyed every teaching experience that I've had. I've taught area studies, theory, and methodology, both at the bachelor's level and at the master's level. So some of you might have been my students before, but I've also taught contemporary issues as well as political geography. I've enjoyed all of the experiences that I've had here, and I really encourage all of you to apply for a research PhD program here. I've done nothing but enjoy it, and I've really felt that it's helped me grow considerably since my time here, and I hope all of you have a happy time researching.
Okay, thank you. Also, I think that we are going to finish our series of presentations. So Linda from the Institute of Sociological Studies. Linda, are you here? Linda? Okay, so Linda has disappeared somewhere. So we'll switch to another program. Jonathan, are you here? International Relations program.
Yes, hello.
Okay, hello, go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Right, so yeah, I'm going to be talking about the international relations program. I think it's important to kind of start us off and say that there are 2 different departments in the International Relations PhD, the Security Studies Department, and the IR department. I'm part of the Security Studies Department, so things may look a little bit different if you're more so focused on the IR side of things. In terms of the PhD experience, my home base is here at Charles University. I get all of my funding and all of my teaching experiences here at Charles University, but I also am doing something called a co-tutel, which I'll be very happy to answer any questions for anyone that's interested. And this is really a combination or 2 PhDs for the price of one, where I use the resources and the experiences at Leiden University from my supervisors to really kind of cement my PhD research. Talking about opportunities for travel, I've done a lot of traveling throughout this experience. Not to humble brag, but during the cold winter months, I was in Barcelona. In January, me and a colleague were figuring out a large research grant proposal. I stayed in Oslo at Oslo University in August at the CREC Center. That's the Center for Research on Extremism. I went to do conferences, not only in Europe, but also back in my home country in Canada. And all of these trips were funded by Charles University. The previous presentations covered a couple of those funding bodies, and these are really great opportunities and quite easy to apply to. In terms of teaching experience, at least at the IR studies program, there's really a lot of opportunities for you to go out and teach. I developed my own course called The Far Right Today. So it's not that surprising that I research and teach on the far right. I also co-developed a course called Introduction to Security Studies. And not to be intimidated that you have to go out and teach your own programs, you can also volunteer and help your supervisors or other colleagues in the department. So I'm helping to teach radicalization and de-radicalization from my supervisor. In terms of my research, I don't need to kind of drag too much along for this. This is just a little sample. So I'm looking at how neo-Nazis make connections on something called Gab Social. And now there's a lot of context that is needed here, which I'm not going to be able to get into within the short time frame. I just kind of wanted to show a little snippet of my research looking at identity and community building for these far-right actors. Here's a fun little post that I uncovered where users like to open up about their life and their lifestyle and their everyday experiences. So here's a neo-Nazi posting his children doing the Roman salute, and then I don't think you'll be able to see in the picture, but they're making little pamphlet handouts where their children are preparing these little pamphlets that say stuff about how Jews are taking over the world and what we can do to stop them. So really fun stuff, but I just want to showcase that there's kind of a whole wealth of data and information and culture to do with the far right online. And if you have any kind of questions on this, I'd be more than happy to talk about them. In terms of other research, if you want to learn more about alternative technology and the way that the far right creates its community in these online spaces, I just recently published an article last week, actually, so it's hot off the press, titled The Gift of Gab, using a ethnographic or nethnographic approach to understanding these cultures. And then I also published last year an article on how the far right uses insecurity and anxiety in order to build their sense of community. So yeah, that's it for me. But again, I don't know if we have time for questions at the end of this presentation, but if you have any particular questions that you want to know about the IR program, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. So we have time enough. So in the case you have any question now, you can ask it now. But we'll return to all of our presenters later. So it's not a problem. Okay, so Aleš, I can see Aleš among participants. So Aleš is from the program Political Science, and both international relations and political science are. So we have two programs at the Institute of Politology or of Political Studies. So these two programs are covered by this institute. Okay, so Aleš, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me and can you see me?
Yes.
Thank you. So I will share my screen for the presentation. Can you see it?
Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Aleš Michal. I am from the field of political science and I am in my third year there. I will present you something about our field and something about my dissertation. So my presentation is structured as follows. The first part is about my dissertation topic, and the other parts are about how it fits with obligations and with expectations on you and expectations from the faculty and from the university. Let's go on. My dissertation topic, I focus on post-ideological varieties of populism in the transforming countries, especially in the area of Central and Eastern Europe. So it includes specific technocratic forms, violent forms of populism, so non-left-right variants of this topic. Through case studies, I focus on the cases of the Czech Republic and the new German Bundesländer, and it includes former Deutsche Demokratische Republic states, including in the current Germany. So it includes comparative studies from these states. I use mainly qualitative methods. For example, participant observations of protest events, which are corresponding with this field. And I tried also Texas data analysis about communication, about the relevant issues in this field. So it includes some of these methods. By the way, participant observations is the activity which we have conducted also with our baccalaureate students, and it is very interesting stuff. What is important maybe for you now are obligations for the first year. I have maybe two advices for you. My first advice is don't worry. And my second advice is let's concentrate on your research from the beginning and on your stuff from communication with your supervisor. You must in the first year pose your individual study plan, and you must fulfill methodology courses in the political science and some specific courses related to your field. For example, courses about political parties, political institutions. So it is fundamental for the first year. But don't worry, it isn't so hard as it seems. Research activities during the 4 years of your studium. Participation in research activities represents the primary role of the PhD student. So you have some opportunities to fulfill it. In the second year, you will have the academic writing course with Petra Guasti, very important and very beneficial for you. And my advice here: do not underestimate the cooperation with your supervisor. It is super beneficial and super important for you. You should write 2 research articles during your stay in political science field in PhD studium. So the best way is when it links with your dissertation topic. Financial support for your research. It is great topic. You can have similar like other colleagues mention it, research projects, for example, Gauck from the Charles University, or SBV, specific university research from our university, or I think that an interesting option is also Cooperatio. Cooperatio is an interdisciplinary project among various fields at our university. Teaching activities, I have experiences with the 2 courses, qualitative methodology seminars for bachelor students, and my own course of political participation, also for bachelor students. It is facultative for you in the political science, but I think it's really important and potentially beneficial for you, same as for your students. The abroad study stay, there is an obligation to stay 3 months on abroad. There is huge support from the Institute of Political Studies or from the university and from the faculty. The best way maybe it's to get the support from Erasmus Research Fellowship Program and from your projects, for example, Gauck and others. I have no experience with it yet, but in this summer semester I will stay in Leipzig in Germany. So thank you for your attention. You can of course contact me or my colleagues from Center of Doctoral Studies, or our guarantor, Professor Blanka Říková. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now I am trying to find Linda. Linda, are you connected? Can you hear me? Okay, so probably not. So we have lost Linda somewhere in the translation. But I think that you have got a good overview about the broadness of our PhD study. So you can study both from economics to mass media, politology. It's really a very broad spectrum. What's common for all programs is that they are really demanding. So you have heard from our presenters that they make quite complicated researches, and that they have to publish, they have to travel, and so on and so on. So now I think that it's the last information that I would like to spread with you or to share with you is the information about the admission procedure. But before we start with admission procedure, maybe you could ask about things connected with let's say with research or with other things. So whatever you want, just ask.
Hello, my name is Jiří Navrátil. I'm curious if some of the speakers, of the students, had chosen their own dissertation topic and found a supervisor, of its usual vice versa, that you find a topic and then you talk to supervisor. So because I'm 53-year-old, I'm with IT background and I have some idea what I want to research, but I'm afraid to search supervisor and say, hey, I have this idea. So if you can tell me something, what you think about trying to apply from auto field on sociology. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone, so how was it with your dissertation topics? So
I can try to help you. Well, I think that every program has the call with general projects and supervisor. In my case, I knew that I want to study celebrity populism, and then I saw the call from Charles University, and there was something more general about leadership in the current age, which my supervisor wanted to supervise. So I went through that way. So I had a topic, and I found a supervisor who wanted to supervise something like that, more general. At our institute, I think it goes like that. There are now we have a call with I think around 10 general topics with supervisors, and then you can see if your research or what you want to research fits in any of these topics. Of course, I think my advice is in general, don't be afraid to ask or to approach people and say what's your idea, ask if they would be willing to supervise this. So just don't be afraid, write email, check who is maybe at the institute you mentioned, sociology, who is there studying something connected or something similar to what you want to study, and write an email to that person. So yeah.
okay, so I think thank you. I think that this information is pretty general. So we do it at all our programs. So the applicants usually prepare some project, and then they just communicate with the specific programs, especially with the Center of Doctoral Studies, and they are advised what to do, how to which colleague from the institute would be ought to be contacted for further discussion. Yeah, so that's like this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, some more question.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to ask you about the teaching. I mean, the teaching is a really good experience. It will be, for me, really amazing. But the problem is I live far away from Prague. It will be maybe, I don't know, is it too possible maybe to teach only 1 in 2 weeks, or maybe in 3 weeks, or must it be regularly every week?
Well, maybe I could ask. I could answer this question. There is no obligation of teaching. So the Czech law doesn't allow it. Yes, but it's a highly recommended activity, and whoever wants to teach from our PhD students gets this possibility. At some institutes, it's more standard than at other institutes. For example, at the Institute of Economic Studies, where I am from, it's a standard that PhD students teach. But then I think that in detail, it depends on personal agreement with PhD students about their possibilities and so on. So it's but my message is that it's surely not a duty. But another message is that we always try to that we always try to arrange it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Here, perhaps I could just add to what Mr. Tsahlik said. It's exactly like that. I know many students who, when you have a large course with many responsibilities, there's not just teaching, but there's also assigning homeworks to students, projects, exams, etc. The workload is somehow distributed among more people. So, if your time possibilities do not allow it so much to be present in person at Prague always. There are definitely options to also participate in teaching in this less direct aspect. So not just going and lecturing, but also, doing this, so working on the backside of the teaching, so to say. But definitely all the teachers always try to make it work, and you know, it's very, the approach in general is individual.
Okay, thank you. So maybe like this. Now, please check your microphones, and if you are not speaking, please switch off your microphone because I can see different voices. Maybe. Okay, so maybe I will mute all for a moment. Okay. So now you are muted, and now I have a lot, not maybe not a lot, but I have some questions in the chat. Now, please, I would like to ask our PhD students to help me with answering those questions. I can see here one question about co-tutor. So it's I think that it was now I'm not quite sure who spoke about co-tutor. It was
It was me.
So okay.
Yeah, so co-tutor process is something that Charles University is really pushing for in terms of the experiences that you can gather from both universities. The only thing that I would mention, and this is probably the hardest part, is finding the kind of reciprocal programs that are willing to actually go through with the co-tutel. Because part of the co-tutel process is that you have to meet the minimum PhD requirements from both universities, right? You have to, you're writing one singular dissertation, but you have to do all of the course requirements depending on the university that you choose. Some universities already have their own kind of co-tutel documents and their own co-tutel process. So for the case of Leiden University, they had already done this co-tutel before. So they had a kind of pre-document. Charles University has a pre-document and Leiden has a pre-document. But it took almost a year for the lawyers to come together and work out the necessary agreements between the two. So if you are going to explore the co-tutel, which I think is a fantastic idea, I have a colleague who's also doing a co-tutel at Copenhagen University. These are fantastic universities, and you can really gain a wealth of experience there. So if you're going to explore this co-tutel option, I would do so almost immediately after starting your PhD, and already reaching out to these kind of external universities or secondary universities to see if they'd be interested in the process as well. Again, that I might not be able to get enough information out about the co-tutel right now, but if you want to discuss it more, you can find me. Just email me at Jonathan Collins. I guess I'll put it in the chat, and we can discuss it more if you're interested.
Okay, thank you. Some more questions, please. If you maybe you have written your question to chat, but it's a little bit too complicated for me to find it and to check it. So so feel free to ask your question verbally. Yes, if you have it. Okay, so no one in the moment.
Maybe I have a question. I wanted to ask if the students could elaborate on the possibilities of combining the working life and the doctoral studies.
Okay, does someone want to answer from?
Perhaps I can answer because I also partially work, so I think I can. You know, it's really up to you. It's really individual again. Like it depends what kind of work you do, and if it somehow, for example, in my case, my work really overlaps with what I do in my research. So part of the time I spend at work, I actually can use to test my hypotheses because it also gives me access to, at least partially, to data that I need for my testing. And in general, then it's always up to me to schedule, for example, the teaching obligations, the seminar visit obligations. It can be challenging. I definitely would not recommend working full time, which I also don't. But I think working part-time, let's say half, the 20 hours per week, I think is really doable, and it can be also very beneficial to your research. Did it answer your question, or do you have some more specific?
Yes, I want to ask about the working hours. So it's like 20 hours a week. You think it's like, okay.
Yeah, it depends on what your research is about and what you do. For example, I have colleagues who, as part of their research, need to, for example, extensively collect data that they need for their research that takes them a lot of time, perhaps even more than 20 hours. But like for my research, it's mainly about like my, personal research, reading about, or meeting others that can help me with this, which is usually work that I can do in, let's say, it can be distributed during the week, it can be evenings, it can be mornings, and I can spend part of the days at work. So again, it really depends about what your research topic would be. But in principle, it is possible for sure, and many people do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, more questions? Okay, so maybe now it's time for us to hear to Mrs. Shmejkalova. So what about the admission procedure?
So hello, can you see me?
Yes.
I am from the study department, where I am in charge of a part of PhD study programs, and I'm here to tell you something about the admission procedure so that you know how it works and what to expect from it. So I will try to share my presentation. Yeah.
Yes, we have it.
You have it, okay. So this presentation aims to answer the questions which applicants ask us most frequently. At first, yes, does it moving? No, okay. So at first I will say a few words about which PhD programs we offer and what is the difference between full-time and combined form of study. And also if there is a tuition fee and if there is a stipend. And then we will have a look at the application, when and how to submit it, and what the admission procedure looks like. And at the end, I will briefly talk about documents proving completion of your master's study, which you also need to submit before the enrollment. And all the important links, for example, the link to admission conditions and contact details, will be available on the last slide of this presentation. So as you already know, we offer 8 PhD programs, a list of which you can see on the slide. And each of these programs has its Czech and English version. In Czech study programs, there is no tuition fee. Students of English study programs pay the tuition fee of €500 per school year in the full-time form and combined form as well. So you can always choose from the 2 forms of study. You can apply either for the full-time form of study or for the combined form of study. And now the frequent question is, what is the difference between the 2 forms? So it is not possible to give a simple answer to this question, as this is program specific, but in general, differences between the 2 forms of study are minimal. Study requirements for both full-time and combined students are basically the same, and they include regular classes, where even combined students have to be physically present, especially in the first 2 years of study. So combined study definitely does not mean studying online or purely online. The only difference between the full-time and combined form of study is that full-time students are expected to participate more in research and teaching activities or in other activities like, for example, supervising thesis and so on. And another important difference is that full-time students are entitled to a regular monthly stipend, while combined students are not. And the stipend is 10,500 Czech crowns monthly, at the moment. There is only one PhD program where the difference between the full-time and combined form of study is bigger or more significant, and it is economic and finance. But I think we don't have enough space to go into details, so I would refer you to the handbook for doctoral students, which is available on the website of the Institute of Economic Studies, and where everything is very well described. Well, now let's move to an application and its attachments. An application needs to be submitted through the online application system, and the deadline is April 30 for all PhD study programs. Now, what you are supposed to attach to your application. This is program specific, so I recommend you to study the admission conditions for the chosen study programs carefully. But there are two attachments which are necessary always. The first is a CV, and the second and the most important one is a dissertation project or dissertation proposal. Admission conditions for each study programs includes detailed instructions regarding what a dissertation project should look like and what exactly it should include. So again, please have a look at the admission conditions. Regarding the dissertation topics, most of the institutes publish the list of so-called priority topics. You can find them on the websites of the respective institute. This is the case, for example, of international relations, political science, sociology, or public and social policy. And it is highly recommended to choose any of these topics. Some programs don't have a list of priority topics, but in any case, your dissertation project should comply with the research focus of the institute. And it is always better when you consult your intended topic in advance. In case of area studies and modern history, you can consult it with the guarantor of the study program. In case of other study programs, you can contact the Center of Doctoral Studies or the coordinator of doctoral study of the respective institute. Well, so it was the dissertation proposal. The dissertation proposal, the CV and other program-specific attachments, as for example, list of literature or language certificates, have to be submitted together with the application by April 30. There is only one exception, which applies to international relations and political science. These two programs require that you send your dissertation proposal by email to the Center of Doctoral Studies, and the deadline is May 13 for political science and May 10 for international relations. But the application deadline is still April 30, even for these two study programs. And April 30 is also the deadline for payment of the application fee, which is 780 Czech crowns. Well, and yeah. Well, now regarding the admission procedure itself. The admission procedure is not the same for all the study programs. Basically, there are 4 types of admission procedure, which you can see in the table. And as you can see, the most common model is 2-round admission procedure, where the first round consists in the assessment of the submitted dissertation project by the admission committee without the presence of the applicant. And the best applicants are then shortlisted for the second round, which is an oral exam or oral interview. The oral interview is basically a discussion about the dissertation project. The second most common type of admission procedure is 1-round procedure, which consists just in an oral interview, where we invite all the applicants who submitted their application properly. And again, the oral interview is a discussion about the dissertation project. This type of admission procedure applies to area studies, modern history, and Czech version of media and communication studies. The program Economics and Finance is specific. If you apply for the Czech program, there will be 1-round procedure, which will consist of 2 parts, a written test and an oral exam. And when you apply for the English program, there will be no oral exam. The admission procedure will consist only in assessment of the quality of your dissertation project and other materials which you submit. Okay. Now let's look at important dates which are related to the admission procedure. So April 30, this we already know, this is the application deadline. And if you apply for a study program with 2-round admission procedure, you will know the results of the first round in the second half of May. And if you obtain enough points, and you will be invited to the oral interview, or if the admission procedure consists only in the oral interview, then this oral interview will take place between June 10 and June 19. It is also important to mention that applicants who live or study abroad will be allowed to take the exam via video conference. The final results, that is, if you are admitted or not, will be known by the end of June at the latest. And when the final results are known, the admitted applicants will be asked to submit a document that proves the completion of master's degree. That means that you needn't attach this document to your application unless the admission conditions of your study program require it. I will tell a bit later which documents have to be submitted. For now, I just would like to say that the deadline for their submission is September 30, but for certain groups of applicants, this deadline is extended to October 22. This is for those who complete their master's study in September, then for those who obtain their master's degree abroad and need first to arrange their nostrification, and then also for applicants with visa obligation. Now, when you submit the necessary document regarding your previous education, you can enroll, and the deadline for enrollment is September 30, respectively October 22. And October 1st, this is the beginning of the school year. Now, very briefly about the documents proving completion of the master's degree, which you need to submit before the enrollment. If you completed your master's study at the Faculty of Social Sciences, you needn't submit anything because we can see it in the study information system. If you graduated at any other Czech university, you are supposed to bring an officially certified copy of your master's diploma. And if you obtained your master's diploma abroad, you have to bring a document proving that your master's degree is recognized in the Czech Republic, or you have to bring necessary documents that enable us to recognize it ourselves. Basically, there are two types of nostrification. Nostrification is the recognition of your previous education. So the first type is general nostrification. It is a document which can be issued by Czech Public University, which offers a similar master's program which you have completed abroad. To arrange this can take quite a long time, like up to 6 weeks, and it can be also quite costly. For example, Charles University, the nostrification fee is 3,000 Czech crowns. But the advantage of general nostrification is that you obtain a paper which is considered an equivalent to your master's diploma in the Czech Republic, and you can use it as such anytime in the future for any purposes you need. The second type of nostrification is more simple. It means that we assess your diploma and other documents by ourselves as a part of admission procedure. This type of recognition is cheaper because it is for free, and it is also very fast. However, this is valid only for the given admission procedure. So, which means that you don't receive any paper, which you could use later for other purposes. This is just for the purpose of admission to our faculty in the given admission procedure. Which documents exactly we need to recognize your master's diploma depends on the country where you obtained it. We don't have enough space here to go into details, but what I would like to say is that you needn't take any steps regarding the nostrification before you know for sure that you are admitted. Once the final results of the admission procedure are known, which means by the end of June, we will find out ourselves which of the admitted applicants graduated abroad, and we will send them instructions regarding the nostrification by email. And afterwards, there you will have enough time to arrange everything. So don't worry about it now. But if you wanted to have detailed information regarding the notification earlier, it is available at the faculty's website in the section for PhD applicants. And you can also contact the faculty's contact person for recognition, which is Miss Ivana Vila, who will definitely answer all your questions. And now we are approaching the end of this presentation. This is the last slide where you can see where to find the information you need or who to contact. I definitely recommend you to have a look at the web page or at the main web page of our faculty, where you can find information for PhD applicants in the section admissions. And each institute also has its own website where you may find some extra information. And of course, you should carefully study admission conditions of the chosen study program too. If you have any further questions, you can contact either the respective institute or the respective study officer from the study department. If you, for example, would like to consult your dissertation topic, or if you have questions regarding the content of study or organization of study, please contact colleagues from institutes. And if you have questions regarding more administrative matters related to the admission procedure, or if you, for example, get into technical trouble with application submission, please contact the study department. We will be happy to help you. Okay, so well, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Okay, thank you. Now it's time for general discussion. So any more questions? So okay, so if not, then we will put the recordings that we are taking now, and maybe the last presentation about the admission procedure to the web pages of our faculty. There is a section for PhD studies and for, I think, for PhD applicants. So you will find it there. Okay, so I hope that this meeting has been useful for you, that it helps you to make your decisions for your further life, and if you decide to start your PhD studies, to apply for the PhD studies at our faculty, then maybe we will need some of you in the next academic year. Okay, so thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.